I'd like to call the Transportation Committee meeting to order. October the 8th, 2013. The invocation will be led by Ms. Terry, and the pledge will be followed by Mr. Diaz.
Father, we thank you for this opportunity to gather here to do your business, to consider the work that must be done on behalf of the citizens of Ascension Parish. We ask your blessing tonight on the Rowe family. We thank you for the return to good health of Councilman Cluott, and we appreciate the opportunity provided to us under our Constitution of the United States to govern ourselves. All these things we ask in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Liz, let it be known Mr. Cluott is absent. Anyone wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign in with Ms. Liz. Move on to number 4, the committee chair report. I'd like to go ahead and give it to Parish President for the resolution for the Ascension Livingston Toll Road. Go ahead and bring up your lawyer.
This is something that we looked at, we've been looking at for many, many years, and I think we've come up with a solution. Livingston has actually passed a resolution in favor of this. This would not cost the parish anything. This would be a private developer that would pay for the road and pay for everything. We would just have an agreement with him to allow him to do so. So this is the first step, and it also creates the Ascension Livingston toll authority. So Mr. Diaz can explain the rest.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Parish President. Thank you all for having me. Haven't been here in a while, and I always look forward to coming here, especially on a project like this. As the Parish President said, this has been going on for about 2 years. Actually, the Parish commissioned a study in February of 2011, and this is the LA 933 connector. This would be from the intersection of 933 and 42 in Ascension to 16 and 42 in Livingston, where Parker's Supermarket is. It's approximately 2 miles of road, and the Parish President, when we got our first study back, it's about $40 million for 2 miles of road, and it's very expensive. And the Parish President realized that, Parish President Martinez realized that we probably didn't have and would not have the adequate funds to pursue such a project on our own, and he discussed with Livingston and all, they have those kinds of funds. So there's a wave going across the country, and it's public-private partnerships. Unfortunately, Louisiana law hasn't yet caught up with the country. We're getting there, but we're not there yet. I had a member of the audience told me tonight, I said, well, the Parish President said, find a solution. If we can't use the State Toll Road Authority, which has only built 1 or 2 roads, and we can't use a local toll road authority because you create another bureaucracy which doesn't have any funds, and they look at you for funds and nothing ever gets done, then find another way. Well, there is a way in Louisiana law. It's a cooperative endeavor with a private corporation. And that's what we set out to do. So we've met several times with Livingston and with a corporation representative, and he looked at the study. Now, what you're going to approve tonight is a resolution with Livingston to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with this corporation. This is a study agreement. Before anybody commits $20 million to building a road, a toll road, they want to do some due diligence. They understand that it's wetlands from start to finish. They understand it's got to be bridged from start to finish. They understand that there's a lot of environmental requirements that have to be met. So they said, well, we'll study it, give us 2 years, and if we decide to take it on, you pledge to enter into an agreement with us that we get to construct, maintain, operate, and toll the bridge as we see fit to do so. It basically would be a public-private partnership in the form of a cooperative endeavor agreement. The guy in the audience tonight said, well, Jeff, it sounds like you're on the leading edge or the bleeding edge, because this hasn't been done anywhere else. In fact, somebody caught wind that we were doing this in another parish, and they basically copied our agreement, which plagiarism is the highest compliment you can have. So they did copy it. They are 3 months ahead of us. hopefully they make it work and they see the wrinkles before we get to them so that we don't have to have the same wrinkles. What you're going to be presented is a two-part agreement. The first thing is a resolution, and it's already been adopted by Livingston. If you would adopt that, and I know this goes to the full council, this is the committee, but if we get to the full council, then you'd have the resolution, then you'd have the agreement that goes with the resolution. Livingston Parish has already sent 10,000. We figured up, Parish President Martin has figured up that this would probably cost about 20 grand in startup cost, startup fees. Livingston has kicked in their 10,000. They've already paid it. We've deposited the money. We put about 10 grand. That covers us until this thing is adopted. After this agreement is adopted, we're off the hook, guys. This corporation has 2 years. Now, they get to take our original study. And then this is just a bare bones study. There's a lot more, y'all know that. There's a lot more goes into this stuff. But after we adopt this agreement with them, then they get it. They have to do the expropriation, they have to do the environmental, they have to do any right-of-ways, they have to do the utility servitudes. There is a utility issue out there on the Livingston side. So they have to take this bull by the horns, and it's theirs. They also get to set the tolls, and they will own it in perpetuity. That's one thing, they will own it. But the benefit to us is it takes the bureaucracy out of it, and the other benefit to us is it takes our money out of it. It's their money on the line, their money at risk. Not even our full faith and credit guarantees this. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. We've worked hard on it. President Martin has said get on it and get it done. We're either on the leading edge, which we hope, or the bleeding edge. I think we're on the leading edge on this one.
Make that motion that we move on the resolution.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Lambert, second by Ms. Casso. Any discussion, objection? Motion passed. Discussion, Mr. Joseph.
Forget about it, Mr. Chairman. You know,
Well, look, we hot and ready for this, so it's,
So you got a
Vice
second
President.
part, I believe.
By creating this authority, does that allow us to enter into agreements with other companies in the event other toll roads?
This is an exclusive agreement within 2 miles of this site.
Right.
So there could be
Just
no
this.
other agreements within 2 miles of this particular site, which is in this study, which is identified in our agreement.
But what about any other agreements?
Well, you couldn't have
Once
any other
you create this toll authority, though,
We're not
what?
creating authority with this.
Okay.
Now, we got off that.
Okay.
The original
Okay,
plan was we
right,
were
I
going to create an
remember.
authority. And we were going to appoint 3 members, and Livingston was going to appoint 3 members, and the DOTD was going to appoint 3 members. And that became unworkable, because then somebody had to fund that authority. And you know what happens when you do that. This way is, and that's why I'm saying this is new stuff in Louisiana. This hasn't been done anywhere else in Louisiana. We're on the leading edge, and hopefully it works. I mean, we think that this private company, we've met with them. We've met with the partnership, and we think that they're ready to come to the table and seriously look at doing this. Now, it'll be their capital on the line, so they're not going to go into this thing willy-nilly and on hope. They're going to go into it after doing considerable studying, but there will be no authority that has to answer to you or that you have to answer to. This will be, if they come back to us in 2 years and say, we want to do the deal, we will have another agreement which will have to be adopted by ordinance form, not by resolution like this is. And you know, all of us know that the ordinance is a more rigorous process. So this is just the initial stages to give this company basically the right to do what they call due diligence. And we hear that word, those 2 words all the time. This is their right to do due diligence exclusively, so that nobody else within 2 miles can compete with them. They want to know that they have that right, that they don't have to worry about competitors. Now, past 2 miles, you can do another one with another company, should one arise.
I didn't mean to pull the trigger that quick, but we'll discuss, continue discussion. Go ahead, Mr. Joseph.
yeah, and what Mr. President is, I'm just going back to recalling that we did pay some money for a study to go from Livingston to 431 to the interstate.
Two different things. One of them, that was done by BKI, that's the Ascension Livingston Tollway Authority. That money, we put up, I think 50,000, Livingston put up 50,000, and the state ended up putting up about 600,000 or 700,000. And we had some meetings here, public hearings here, actually on that particular project. And bottom line, nobody could find the money. It was like, I don't remember how many million, $300 or $400 million. So, but that's a whole different,
Well, the only
that's
reason-
different project.
But the only reason I asked that, because that was another way of a direct line to get out of Livingston to I-10. And because you brought the question that radian or the distance, would that affect that if a private source come in, because that is another toll road that is desperate needed too, from that end.
No, that doesn't preclude, they could actually use this bridge as part of it. So, you know, and take off from the bridge and move on down the road, that would connect, that would actually give them a connection and save money if they actually went through with that project.
That's all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Arietta.
Yeah, I think my question was answered. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been long overdue. I think we need to move forward if it'll work.
We hope it works. That's the plan. Hopefully, I'll be back here within 2 years saying it's gonna work.
It's gonna work. Yeah, good deal.
Great, thank you so much, Jeff.
Thank you.
Move on to number 5, the road department monthly report for September. Mr. Pierce?
Yes, for September, we had a total of 1.5 tons of recyclable materials were collected at the monthly road show held at Walmart in Prairieville. And so far this year, we had a little over 33 tons of recyclable materials that have been collected at that road show. We had a total of a little over 7 tons of recyclable materials collected out at the DPW, and a total for the years of approximately 118 tons of recyclable materials collected at DPW. Our work orders, we had 213 total work orders, 10,991 feet of ditches were cleaned, 3,660 feet of culverts were blown out, 164 miles of ditches cut, and 76 miles of ditches sprayed. For lot and litter violations for September, we had 22 complaints were received and processed by DPW on lot violations. 9 were cut by contractors. 9 lien requests were submitted to the finance for the month of September. 15 lots were cut by the owners, and 5 are due for re-inspections. Litter violations processed, 5 litter violation complaints were received and processed by DPW. 4 debris areas were cleared by the owners, and 1 debris area was cleared by DPW, by the DPW crew. And that concludes my report for September.
Mr. Terry?
Moose, I wanted to thank you for the efforts that you have put out to fix a couple of problems for me, particularly the signs that were all over the Highway 73 there. Thank you so much. The folks that live in that area appreciate it, especially when it comes time for them to cut the grass, and they can do that. I wanted to ask a question. How many feet of ditches do we have in Ascension Parish? How many miles? Probably be hard to figure in feet, but how many miles?
Jason might have that.
I would have to check that out and get back with you on the exact miles, but if, for a little bit more information, if you cut ditches, however many miles in the parish, you can almost double that, because you know you have to go up one side of the road and cut ditches and then come back down the other side. So it's
Well,
actually double.
1,000 miles, you got a little bit over 500 miles of road in the parish.
So it's about 1,000 miles.
Say that on each side. A good estimate would be 1,000 miles of ditches.
I appreciate knowing that, and I certainly want to know that so that I can share that with constituents who call me and say, I called about getting my ditch cut, and it took a month for them to get there. And I don't think people get that there's 1,000 miles of ditches to cut in this parish. And how many people are available to cut ditches?
I guess we have about 3 crews. 3 crews. We got the state that tries to help with the state, that does the state, and then we have 2 other crews. And in
So-
those crews, we have 3 or 4 per crew, and then we have the supervisors and stuff.
So it's a
Oh.
small number of people trying to cut 1,000 miles of ditches and keep that maintained. And so I hope that people will understand that no one is neglecting to fill the work orders that are brought to the parish. What
And-
is happening is that the work is overwhelming, and especially in the summertime, and with the sewage in our ditches that feeds the growth of all that grass. So we have a real challenge here.
And exactly, and in addition to that, we, when we're cutting in the heavily populated areas, around the Prairie View, that area, in other areas throughout the parish, throughout the parish, we try to accommodate the residents to maybe pull off on the side roads to cut some of them during the heavy times of the traffic,
Sure.
And it's almost impossible not to get involved with the traffic because it's always traffic,
Sure.
So if we going down the road and we cut and say like a main thoroughfare, and that's traffic all the time, so we try to do the best we can, and when it builds up, we try to cut off the road and cut some side roads to accommodate our residents and the traffic in Ascension Parish. So, and sometimes I get calls and say, man, the traffic is backed up. Can you see if you can get those tractors off the road? And we try to accommodate them.
Sure. Mr. Marion?
That's only road ditches, so you're not talking about drainage ditches, but
Sure.
there's probably more miles of drainage ditches than road ditches in the parish. And that kind of brings me to what, we recently, this week I received a letter from DOTD saying that they can't accommodate what we had asked for as far as increasing our money to cut state roads. Basically, I'm just going to round this off. It cost us $450,000 a year to cut state roads. They pay us $150,000, so we in the whole $300,000 a year. When this program first started, we were probably at a break-even point. Of course, gas was less than about $1.25, $1.29. Now gas is $3 and up. Tractors are a lot more expensive, and labor's a lot more expensive, and basically it cost us a lot more to do this, and we haven't really gotten a raise in the past 10 years. So we asked for a mild increase, but they said that they could not accommodate us. So with this letter, they're asking us whether or not we want to renew the contract for another year. And basically I had instructed Mr. Pierce to only continue the contract through December this year. That way we could get through the year, and then at that point cut it off, because we can't continually go in the hole, because our cost is never going to go down. It's going to continue to rise, and they're not receiving a whole lot of funding. As if you read the letter, I think everybody's got a copy of this letter. So, we just want to make sure that the people in the public understand that this is something that we wanted to meet them halfway with, but could not come to any kind of an agreement. There wasn't any room for negotiations here. They were steadfast on what they were paying and said they couldn't do it. So anyway, as of beginning of next year, January, if that's okay with the council, I just wanted to, that's why I sent the letter. I want to make sure everybody's on the same page here, that come January, and Mr. Caswell, you're going to be getting a lot more calls next year about the state roads, because a lot of them in your area, and it's a shame that it had to come to this. But I mean, we cannot absorb this much of a loss every year.
Mr. Joseph, I'm sorry.
Let Ms. Caswell, she had the floor before. Let Ms. Caswell.
Thank you, OJ. I promise I'll give it back to you. When will the state cut the roads?
States will cut the roads
Once a
when
year.
they can, probably about once a year. We do it 4 times a year, and then we spray 4 times a year. So I remember when we had Mr. Turo in here, he said not as much as y'all, if you remember the comment that he
I think
made.
you mentioned they have 1 or 2 crews that do 3 parishes.
Yeah, that's it. So
Three
you probably
parishes, they
once
go.
a year spray and once a year cut. That was the way it was prior to us doing this, and that's why we went to the state, because we kept getting all the complaints about it, and certainly we want our parish to look good when people drive through here. But I mean, at what cost? So I mean, this is, yeah, yeah. Intersections. I mean, as far as safety goes, I mean that's one of my main concerns by not doing this, because you know, they let the grass grow, and when people get to a stop sign, they can't see the traffic coming one way or the other. So you're going to be getting a lot of calls, and my suggestion is just to give them the DOTD's number and have them to call.
I do have concern that we're making great strides, passing ordinances with some difficulty to improve the conditions in our community and make it more beautiful, make it quality of life here better. And to have this situation where we have so many state roads, to have grass growing 4 feet tall, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me when we're trying to pass an overlay to have people cut their grass. So I'm going to have to figure out how to rationalize that. But I understand, you know, it's a matter of you do what you have the money to do, and what you can, you know, if you can't afford to do it, you can't afford to do it. And if the state is abrogating their responsibility, then, you know, perhaps the folks need to put more pressure on the state.
Mr. Joseph?
Yeah, I'm like Terry over there, that, I mean, in my district, 80% of the roads are state roads. I mean, I got Modesto. I know they gonna complain. I mean, I got Lemonville. They drive to there. I got, you know, Kent got Aben. All that's state road. Highway 1, Highway 308. That's all state road. I mean, that is 80% of my area that I know that we get complaints now. So I know they're only gonna triple. And my thing is that we, you know, if this the direction we want to go, and you know, I hate to say it this way, but we better make sure the public understand our situation, because we will all be getting these phone calls. You know?
We notified all of our elected officials, the state, we notified everyone that we could, and you know, I didn't ask for the whole amount of money. I was asking for a modest increase, and I still couldn't get that. I mean, we got to have some common ground here to deal with. But when you start losing that much money, it's tough. And you know, aesthetically, I agree with you, Ms. Castle. It's not going to be a pretty sight. So.
And I just
Go ahead.
want- you know, I know we got spray tractors and everything, and I don't know if you did a feasibility on that, if we only spray instead of cut. I mean, that'd move a little bit faster, I understand. But how expensive that is, and did we take that in consideration? You know, that's only another option, you know, that I would ask for, that's all.
We got a contract till December. If you want to explore this further, but I'm telling you, in their letter, they're not budgeting.
And, good, that's it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, yeah, sales taxes are up. Our revenue is up. Personally, I mean, I truly understand. I try to very much to live within my means in my own house. But I don't believe that we would be living outside of our means, considering the income that we have in this parish. I mean, we're going to be cutting some lawn grass because, you know, we want things to look better. I just have a hard time reconciling the idea that we should withdraw from this program. It's just a concern.
Mr. Lamb?
Yeah, Parish President, not only we are cutting these state highways, but who is the liability on when we out there with them tractors on that, on the parish government also? And that's where the real safety issues are on the state roads with all the traffic.
Yeah.
Now, I understand a bunch, and I understand we're gonna get some calls, but we're just gonna have to forward them to our representatives and senators and see if they can make a move and move things forward. But, you know, that's 450,000 that we're really not obligated to do, because doing that for more of a favor to the citizens and to the state for what we've been doing for the last 10 years. We got outfits that are underfunded right now that we need funding. Yeah, the budget is up, but we got dog control, we got mosquito control, we have so many other entities that we really need to sink some of this general fund. That's 450,000 right there that could help out a bunch of the other ones. So I know we're gonna have a lot of issues, but it's like I said, we're not obligated to cut state highways, but we are obligated now for mosquito control and, you know, all the other outfits we have that we really need to put funding in.
Mr. Terry.
Todd's point is well taken. I can't argue with that. I think that it's unfortunate, but it may be the position we have to take.
Yeah, this is gonna be a tough one, Prez. What, just on the spraying, if we would have to go that, what is it, do we have a breakdown on the cost of, will we even meet what we are receiving from the state or somewhere close?
I don't, we can check and see, that should be broken down also, because we did break it down into cutting and spraying, so we should have a cost on the spraying. I'm not sure that they would agree just to spraying. I think that they're gonna want 4 cuttings and 4 sprayings for the price that, they're getting now. That's basically, you know, if we could cut in half and go 2 and 2 and, or whatever, or once we spend the 250, the 150, shut it down. I just don't see that as an option. I don't think you're really doing a whole lot of good, but we can check. We got till December, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it's gonna be here before we know it. The only other option, what I was thinking is also at the intersections, what we're talking about. The most dangerous intersections, if nothing else, we're gonna have to work out something where when we, completing the Parish Road, we got to cut at least the intersections if we can work something with them, so. Whatever you can do with them, appreciate it. Go ahead, Mr. Joseph.
Mr. Chairman, can we put this on our next transportation meeting? Make sure this stay on it so we can keep it alive and working on it. So if we have to make a motion to go immediately to the next council meeting, at least we know it'll be on this agenda.
Might want to invite maybe Joey or somebody from the state, so just to give us our options. What happens if we go cold turkey and shut it down? You know, what is, you know?
The problem is that DOTD is asking for an answer. I mean, they want an answer on this so
Yeah,
they
I've
can
seen
make
the- I've seen the
arrangements.
email.
So, anyway,
What's the date they want?
whatever y'all want to do is fine with me. We'll check on just spraying and see what a cost factor would be there. And we'll also look at intersections, and then we'll get back to you the next meeting. But by then, we're going to have to make a decision.
And that's why we need to have it on the agenda so we can make a motion to go to full council that we're going, whatever option we're going to do.
Yes, my only question about just spraying, you get tall weeds and you spray weeds, what happens with them weeds? They just plug up ditches and culverts and everything else. Without cutting and spraying and just spraying, I see some effects that's gonna cause a lot of people hardship.
Well, I just see dead grass,
Well,
which is might be worse than high grass visually.
You know, something to think about. I don't know if DOT, you know, they're gonna accept that anyway, so,
well,
yeah.
I would just say, like you said, Todd, is if you're out there and you want your grass cut, you need to call your state representative and your state senator that represent you and tell them, we need help with this situation, you know?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr.
How many, do other parishes enter into this same or similar arrangements with the state?
Some do, some don't. We were actually the
First one to do it.
We were actually the first parish that ever did this. I approached DOTD in the early '90s, and you know, because I was frustrated at that time, the state had 2 tractors that were 1953 models, and they leaked diesel and everything else, and the roads wasn't getting cut, and back to the same situation. And when we made the agreement, then it was $100,000, and then I think 3 years later, 4 years later, It went to 150,000, and that's when it stopped. Like I said, over 10 years ago, it was the last time they had any increase. So the more parishes that came on board, then that's when the raises stopped, because we were spreading the money out further and further, and that's basically, I think, what the problem. And now, if they give us a raise, everybody else is going to want a raise, and so I guess it starts a chain reaction.
Sure.
So, if we could tell them what it cost us, and we spend 150,000, you pay us 150,000, and we do that much, I'm fine with that. But you know, when you're losing that much money, it's
Yeah.
just hard to justify.
I agree.
All right, Mr. Jones, we'll close with you.
Yeah, Mr. Thomas, I'm looking at your recycling, and I see the number is dropping in, for August and September. Have that having to do with anything with the garbage collecting company, the private company catching recycles in those areas on the northern end of the parish?
What's that? Give me that question again.
On the recycle, you know, we have the roadshow, recycle roadshow, and you showing how much we've been collecting on a monthly basis, but in August and September, you know, it's been dropping. You see the number reduced to 1.49 ton in September. And, you know, recently, the private section started providing recycle bins. And I wanted to know if that was based on that effect there, that the public is doing it at their home, still they're burning it to
I think you can attribute some of that to the homes being recycled, private homes, and also this past weekend they had the Karen come through, so you know not as many people came to the Walmart in Prairieville, you know, so that's why you see
That worked out good.
maybe a ton of a little bit more or less, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Move on to number 6, the road project status report. Jason?
Okay, I just got back from the Technical Advisory Committee. First item on my list for this is I had it listed as Roddy Road widening, LA 621 to LA 935. That has been approved by the Technical Advisory Committee for 2017. That can move forward, but I doubt it will, as far as forward in time. Church Point at Roddy, that's still in the DOTD process. It will be built. It's just a matter of getting through the process. 2012 maintenance projects, we are, today, Moose and I and some of our inspectors went and did a punch list walkthrough. They're pretty much done with that project, with the exception of the punch list and a few other cleanup items. Roddy Road at Cannon Roundabout, this is a local road safety program grant for our reimbursement for $500K. We are currently in contract to do the LADOTD feasibility study for this. It's required for any state funds for a roundabout. That is being handled. Right. Engineering got the local road safety program grant for that. Parker at 929 roundabout, that's going to be part of the next agenda item, which is for information. The design for that was bid, and I'll talk about that later. Parish-wide horizontal curve sign upgrades. This is $100,000 to sign some of our most dangerous or our most concerning curves, I should say, in the parish. We have to do some engineering work to get this money, but we are approved for it, and we'll be doing the engineering work over the next month and a half. I'll have some of my survey crew and a few other people helping me out with that, but that's another reimbursable one that we applied for with local road safety program and got. Highway 42 sewer improvements. I know this is really on the forefront of a lot of people, because this is the big project in north of the parish. That is still on target to let next week for the clearing and grubbing and utilities. God willing, and the creek don't rise, it will, it will go. Highway 73, we all know how that's going as well. The good note is that from our last committee meeting to now, the anticipated completion date did not move back any, so we've had no major delays for the last month, which is great. State projects, US 61 overlay, LA 22 to LA 74, that's pretty much done. It's just contractors still installing light poles. 431 intersection improvements, basically utilities work is going on there. LA 42 widening project I just talked about. LA 73 widening I just talked about. LA 431 in Gold Place is still in design in that DOTD process that we'll see how that goes. LA 3089 roadway lighting, finally, I don't know if y'all been out there, it's lit. They had a lot of issues with that, but it's lit and we're yay. And the 3089 overlay from LA 70 to LA 1, the traffic signal work is still remaining. Basically, they're cutting loops for the automatic signals. That's it.
Questions? Mr. Joseph?
No question. I want to compliment Councilman Kent Shakes Nana and the administration and Parish President on those lights on Highway 3089. It was needed, and just to let you know, that did come out of Parish and Lighting District funds. And so it really looked nice last night. Me and Kent was just talking about it. I said I didn't know if the light was on, and going home last night, they were on, and it really helped entering the city of Donaldsonville. So once again, I want to compliment those guys on a job well done. Appreciate it.
Ms. Terry?
Mr. President, what is the status of the lighting at 73 and I-10? We're eagerly awaiting it.
Should be let next year, early next year is what I was told. It's should have been let years ago, but unfortunately it wasn't. So now it's next year, early next year. Is that what you have, Jason, on it? I-10 and 73 interchange?
Yes, sir. That's
You got a date?
It's part of next year. I don't have a date, no,
Okay.
sir.
We
But
want to get it lit up so we can see the high
I
grass.
understand. We've been fighting for that project for many, many years, and hopefully now that that's going to become a reality. So,
I thank you for that and appreciate it very much.
Mr. Lambert?
I'm good.
Just one thing, Jason, on the 2012 maintenance project, what was the punch list? I can maybe help you with some of the complaints I've been given.
Go ahead.
The field on the edges of the road, this is the second round that we've been having problems with, big clops and different things all running into people's ditches.
You have a McConnell and Camp, McConnell Road and Camp, or
It's been several.
just several roads. Oh,
Yeah.
we're
have
walking
one, too.
through it. It's a work in progress. I know it's not perfect. Sullivan is been pretty responsive to what we've asked of them as far as, or told them really, that needs to happen, and I will definitely relay that again to them about general cleanup on the side of the road to make sure that there are no clumps of dirt. I saw them myself today whenever we were doing some of the walkthrough. It's and there's a general feeling of mud on the side of the road, which needs to
Like
happen.
you say, and it gives, safety, kids and different things, playing on the edge, it trip and fall. Go ahead, Parish President.
Jason, could you give us an update on 621 at Roddy Road on the bauxite blow up? Where are we on that, and what's going to cost to fix it? You and I had a conversation a couple weeks ago.
I've gotten 3 estimates on that. one, using the existing contractor, or two, using the existing contractor. If they are allowed to shut down totally shut down the road, it's roughly $135,000 to fix. If they have to do one lane at a time, it's 157. There was another route which wasn't as clean of a repair, wouldn't have been as sturdy, I guess would be the right word, but it would have gotten the road done quickly. And that was $120,000, but I don't recommend doing that because if you're going to spend that kind of money, you might as well go ahead and get it done right. So it's expensive, and I was frankly very shocked at how expensive it was. But with both contractors coming in at roughly the same amount, it must be close to what the cost would be. They're having to dig down and then replace all of the base material, remove and dispose of properly the base material, and continue with one lane of traffic at the same time. So you're probably looking at a good 14 to 30 day repair on that. I'm not happy about it, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, a lot of them. Mr. Terry?
Yeah, who is responsible for the cost of this repair?
That is something that we are in debate with legal on that. Tommy, I don't even know where to go with that. It's
Bottom line, we are looking at what our options are from a legal standpoint. I have O'Neill looking into it. My concern is that I certainly think that we should get the road fixed. I don't want to just sit here while we go through a legal battle and maybe a year doing that. Hopefully we can come back to you as far as that goes, but I think that we need to move forward and fix the road. I hate to do it that way. I'd rather take take the battle on first, but it seems like it's still not going to solve the problem, and the road's going to continually deteriorate and end up costing us more. So, my suggestion would be to take the lowest bid here and go ahead and get this fixed, and then we'll take whatever legal action that we need to, and we'll come back to you in the future and let you know, because I've instructed O'Neill to pursue this thing and come back with an answer.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Lambert?
Yeah, one thing we want to look at on the rest of Roddy Road, if we do go some more widening and repairs, even the existing Roddy Road was the same problem when we resurfaced it 10, 15 years ago. We had to dig up more asphalt because it did the same thing. Just got to be careful with the patches. If we got a brand new road and we got to go over there and you're going to hit patches, we want that guaranteed that it's going to be a smooth, like new road once they finish with that 150 or whichever way we decide to go.
Any future projects on Roddy, we're going to saw test every 100 feet instead of every 500 feet. That's the only way
That
we're
would
going to
be
catch.
advisable, yeah.
It's going to cost us more up front, but in the future, I think that needs to be done, because there's a lot of bauxite, fluorite, all kind of stuff. For some reason, Roddy Road was the dumping ground. So.
And they did that whole, it was gravel and they resurfaced the whole road at the same time, so that's all part of it.
Jason, you had anything else?
no, sir.
All right, we'll move on to number 7, RFQ bid results for selection committee for the following. Go ahead, Jason.
This is just informative. We had our Parker and 929 roundabout. There was an issue with the pipeline. We've already, y'all are all pretty familiar with this, where it would have cost an extra $1 million to armor the pipeline so that we could put traffic on top of it, or we could try to find another way, an innovative way to design this roundabout that shifts everything around the pipeline. We sent out some feelers to see how we would do this, and then came up with a plan of action. The bid results for the design on this are on the next page here, where and Bukert Horn came in at the top score on the list, and that's it.
So moved to accept Burkhart and Holmes.
Moved by Councilman Joseph,
Second.
second by Councilman Gasso. Any discussion? Any objection? Not, motion passed.
The second one is the Lamar Dixon access improvements. The bid results, we had 200,000 set aside for this. The bid results are the third page. RJ Daigle was the only one who came in under 200,000. And they're also the lowest bid, of course, because of that. So.
Award to R.J. Dago.
Moved by Councilman Joseph,
Second.
second by Councilman Lambert. Further discussion? Not, motion passed. Move on to number 8, approval of road change directive number 9 for the 2012 road project. Jason?
This is the work change directive that will be incorporated into the next change order. Sorry, had a brain there. So, all right, it increases the amount by 140,000, but the total amount is going to be still under the original bid amount. So, the net change is still under the original bid amount.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Lambert,
Second.
second by Ms. Gasso. Discussion?
Yes, one question.
Mr. Joseph?
Yeah, Jason, at one time we was trying to add some extra roads, additional roads in that area. That's what this is for?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all.
We also removed one road,
Right.
but that will be taken care of next year.
Okay, yeah, I remember. We're good.
No objection to the motion. Motion passed. Move on to number 9, Mr. Lambert.
Motion adjourned, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Lambert, second by Mr. Joseph. Adjourn.